Hey guys, so today I want to talk to you about how just one single nerve may be responsible for all of migraines. So if you're suffering with migraine, you want to watch this stuff because this is a really common issue that is really plagued through much of society. Unless you're aware of it, you may not actually be aware that this may be the cause of your migraines. And the one area I'm talking about is this substance called the trigeminal nerve, or what we need to understand in migraine terms is the trigeminal pathway. So the trigeminal nerve is a nerve that starts in the face, goes over the top of your head, supplies all of your cheek areas, all of your teeth, and down through the mandible as well. Then progresses up, it passes through the joint around your jaw itself before entering the brainstem directly. And this is really, really important. So it's the upper area of the brainstem which is really believed to be the major trigger for migraines. So when we get dysfunction through the teeth, through the jaw, through the face as well, any of these areas, and we get irritation to this nerve, all this information gets sent through this little area here called your trigeminal ganglion, which is like the body of the nerve itself. And that information then from there gets shoved straight into the brainstem. And most importantly, the upper part of the brainstem, which is commonly referred to as your midbrain or your mesencephalon. And the reason why this is so important is that when the midbrain or the mesencephalon gets wound up, this is your flight or fight responses. This is what we call our sympathetic house. So when it gets really wound up, the sympathetic activity keeps it driving, and as it keeps driving and driving and driving, it tends to increase our brain arousal rate. So this can cause things like sleeping problems, so falling asleep or waking up throughout the night. The light and sound sensitivity that you often get with migraines is commonly associated with this dysfunction. Not only in migraine sufferers, but in other everyday people as well who don't get migraines, this mechanism is wound up in it. It also tends to affect the sensitivity around our face and also touch. And some people can even affect your ability to map where you are. In other words, parking a car and things like that in some people as well. So this is the main input that we have from the trigeminal nerve into that area. The other one that we have as well is our balance centers. So our vestibular system through here, which controls from our ears, helps control our sense of where gravity is, puts input into this area as well. And you've probably heard of the term vestibular migraine, and this is what we're really looking at. The reason all this is so important is because the trigeminal nerve itself doesn't just stop there. So it actually continues through into the brain itself and supplies all the main arteries in the brain. So it looks after vascular control of the brain. So when we wind the mechanism up, we get this localized inflammatory reaction that's occurring through this area here, and that basically generates vasoconstriction, in other words, reduction in blood supply to the brain itself, and that's what produces our aura in most cases. So if you find you're getting a migraine, your vision goes a little bit blurry or things like that prior to it, then this is really what we're talking about is happening through here. So the more irritation we get to the trigeminal nerve, the more irritation or dysfunction we have through the vestibular system, the more this mechanism gets wound up, and as a result, the more likely we are to trigger off a migraine. So this is just a simple approach and looking through how migraines can actually be triggered. And this is, at this stage, there's a few different theories about how migraines actually come about. But what we are aware of is that irrelevant of which theory you look at, all of them involve this complex, the trigeminal complex, driving migraine patterns. So guys, if you have any questions about how migraines are driven up, just message me below or comment. Let me know what you've tried with your migraines, what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you, and I'll see if I can get you some help. Just remember guys, it's always about adding life to your ears. Catch you in the next vid. See you then.